some people have doubt when they have common cold. So what is the difference between common cold and nasal allergy?
Yeah, plenty of times when during the change of season or when we come to contact with some cold weather, when we develop a common cold, and how we say that no, I'm suffering from a common cold, it's not an allergy, or I'm suffering from allergy, it's not a common cold. Just to for a patient to differentiate between the common cold and allergic rhinitis, the most common things is in allergic rhinitis we get bouts of sneezing. In common cold we may have turn 1 or 2 or 3 of sneezing, but it will not be like a bout. It will not continuously run into sneezing. In allergic rhinitis we get more of watery secretions from the nose, running like a tap. We'll have, you know, the water is just you know, like a tap is running from the nose. But in common cold we'll have thick and yellow secretions rather than you know, watery secretions. He will complain of like कि मेरे नाक में cuffs type हो रहा, my nose is full of secretions like yellow secretions or thick secretions. So this is more in common cold. Mostly we don't encounter fever in allergic rhinitis, but fever is pretty common with common cold. And common cold will more of like come with the facial pain, headache and all, which is allergic rhinitis, slightly less common with allergic rhinitis.
Okay. Right. Thank you, sir. Okay, is there any type or different forms of allergic rhinitis?
Yeah, this is a very important question because allergic rhinitis, we come across two kinds of allergic rhinitis, and the management and the severity differs in both of them.
Okay.
In allergic rhinitis, one is seasonal allergic rhinitis and one is perennial allergic rhinitis, or which is present all through the year. Seasonal allergic rhinitis will be present mainly in the 2 seasons of the year, once in the March and April month and once in around August September month.
Okay.
So these are allergic rhinitis of the seasonal type. In this patient he'll be fine all through the year. He will have problem in particular these 2 months. Otherwise when you meet him in the June month or you meet him in December month, he'll be fine. He will have no problem of allergy at all. But whenever you meet in these 2 months, 2 seasons, he will have a very difficult time. So this is seasonal allergic rhinitis, and one is perennial allergic rhinitis. Perennial means it is present all through the year. He will have no specific time of increase of symptoms. It will come anytime. You need a trigger and it will start. So undoubtedly the perennial allergic rhinitis is slightly difficult to treat because it is present all through the year. And why we differentiate in 2 things, because the allergens present is different in both of them. Because in seasonal allergic rhinitis, the allergens or the triggerers are completely particular to those seasons. And in perennial allergic rhinitis, the allergens is present all through the year. So the management becomes slightly different in both of them. So there are few people who suffers from seasonal allergic rhinitis and few people suffer from perennial or the allergic rhinitis present all through the year.
Okay, fine. You explained very nicely, sir. Now the point comes that how do we treat allergic rhinitis?
Exactly. Allergic rhinitis is really difficult to treat for us because patients comes with the hope that this problem will go forever. And the very first statement which we give to the patient, ki this will not go for you forever. It will remain with you all through your life. Okay. It's a very demotivating statement for a patient, but we cannot help it because we always explain this to the patient in terms like, see, this is a chronic disease like diabetes or a blood pressure. You cannot treat the diabetes for a month and you can say goodbye to the diabetes. It will be present with you all through the year, all through the life actually. So allergic rhinitis will also be present all through the life for you. So how to treat it becomes difficult from the very first step. So when we divide the management of allergic rhinitis in few steps, then the first steps comes like, I always compare it with the other chronic diseases like diabetes and hypertension. Why? Because the management goes that way only. In diabetes, when first patient will come to you, you will say avoid sugar. Anything before starting the medicine, what you say? You avoid sugar. So the first line of management in allergic rhinitis, you avoid the allergen. Whatever you have allergy with, you avoid it. Don't meet with the allergen. It will be fine. You don't like that, just don't meet it. So, but it's easy to say, difficult to attain. So avoidance of allergens is the first line of management in allergic rhinitis.
Okay.
To find out what allergy you have, what allergens you are with, then you avoid those allergens. Do all possible measures. We do help them. And the first line of management is avoiding the allergens.
Okay.
Second, I try to avoid allergens, but still I can't, I just don't know how I caught it. So now I need to treat it. So the second thing is medications. The pharmacotherapy, what we call in medicine, or the medicines, what we call, may it be tablets, may be nasal sprays, and may be any kind of injections. So these are the different modalities of pharmacotherapy treatment which we give to the patient to relieve him from the symptoms he have already attained.
Okay.
And now the comes to third part. Third part is immunotherapy. This is a very good therapy which is coming up. Immunotherapy. Why immunotherapy? That the allergic rhinitis is immune response to an allergen, a trigger. So what we do, we do something in our body that the immune response is lowered, that our body becomes less reactive to those allergens.
Okay.
So this is known as immunotherapy. In this immunotherapy, we first try to find out what exactly allergens which are giving us trouble. Then we try to make some antibodies against those allergens which can decrease their reaction and decrease the reaction to those allergens. This is a very good coming up branch as of now, not very much researched, but in coming few years or coming few decades, it will one of the mainstay of the treatment of allergic rhinitis.
Okay. Thank you. You mentioned one thing to avoid allergens. So what are various measures to avoid allergens in the environment?
Exactly, and this is something very simple yet very difficult thing. See, I can very easily, because whenever a patient of allergic rhinitis comes to me, then I always try to give him more time, trying to find out from the history what kind of allergens is triggering for him, and try to tell him that how you can avoid him. Because avoidance is one of the very important part of our allergic rhinitis management. So first of all, to find out the allergen, we need to find out it is a seasonal allergic rhinitis or a perennial allergic rhinitis. If it is a seasonal allergic rhinitis, then the allergens is outside in the environment. Okay, because season changes, then in the month of March, April, we have lot of pollen grains outside, we have lot of dried leaves, we have fine dust. These things are always present outside the house, and the patient is more commonly get a problem when he goes outside the house rather than when he's inside the house. So allergic rhinitis associated with the seasonal one, in these cases the allergens are outside. So in these cases, what we tell the patient that whenever you go outside, you cover your eyes and you cover your nose, because the allergen will go into your eyes, into your body through two portals, may it be eyes or may it be nose. So wearing of mask, wearing of helmets when you are driving the two-wheeler which have a shield, a glass shield, wearing glasses. If you have glasses, that's fine. If you don't use glasses, then better use either glasses the black glasses or plain glasses, so that you can prevent your eyes from getting touched into allergens. So the first thing first is this: when you go outside, you prevent yourself from the allergens. Being inside the home, keep the doors closed, especially in the morning time. The morning time, when it comes to the seasonal allergic rhinitis, the most allergens are present in the morning time, either in the around 10 o'clock to around 4 o'clock. So keep your doors closed, don't keep it open for all the time, so that you can prevent allergens coming to inside the home. Be in the environment where there's not much greenery outside, especially the wild weeds, the wild vegetations which really come across whenever we have a rainy season and all. So try to avoid the environmental conditions which have a lot of greenery outside our house, especially if the patient is allergic. Then when it comes to the perennial allergic rhinitis, which is present all through the year. So we mentioned dust mite. Dust mite is the most common allergen which is present in the patients of perennial allergic rhinitis, or the allergic rhinitis which is present all through the year. So there are very simple few measures which we always try to explain the patients. First of all, always before sleeping at the night, try to have your pillow cover washed every day. Okay, because pillow covers is something the reservoir of the dust mites. All through the day, we never know how much dust is taken into it, and in the night when we sleep, we inhale those dust mites and we start having a problem early in the morning. So our beddings are very important. So always try to change your pillow cover at night. Every once in 2 to 3 days, your all complete bedding should be washed in hot water, which will completely eradicate the dust mites. Whichever room you spend most of the time, just try to make sure that is very good ventilated, and the sunlight comes during the daytime. Because sunlight is something which is very good as a disinfectant and which kills dust mites very effectively. So if your house is kind of, in the afternoon, if 2 hours of good sunlight is there in the room, then it will surely help in eliminating the dust mite. Okay. Secondly, don't use more of the carpets, curtains, cloth material on the sofas or something, because these things are the complete the reservoir of the dust.
Okay.
So if you're already suffering from allergic rhinitis, just interrupting between, we have in our Udaipur area, we have one very good community of Dawoodi Bohras. Okay, these people have a lot of carpets in their houses, and I see a lot of patients of allergic rhinitis in these community.
Okay.
And one of the very important part is that carpet.
Right.
Because every home they are not very comfortable with the carpets, but these community, they have a very kind of the kind of living which they always use carpets.
Right.
And whenever we remove those carpet, or when I start telling them that you start using vacuum every second day for carpets, many of the patients start having the relief in the symptoms, because the carpets is a reservoir of the dust mites.
True.
And whenever we walk through the carpet, when we see through carpet, we always inhale these things. So all the reservoirs of the dust mites, may it be carpets, may it be any kind of curtains, sofa covers, beddings, they must be treated very well against the dust mites. May it be have a dust mite sprays, dust mite paints and all. And nowadays we are started having the fabrics which is resistant to dust mites. So using those kind of fabrics for our sheets, bed sheets, pillow covers, they will definitely help. Okay. And now the third most important part is our the moist area. Any of the walls, if they are having a leakage of water, and what we call the sealant or humid the walls, they are also reservoir of the allergic rhinitis or mold spores, which are strong allergens. So this is also very important. I would like to introspect for all those allergic rhinitis patients who are listening to this show or watching this show, that if they are suffering from this kind of allergy, and if they are not aware that their house is having some leakage on the walls, try to repair it, and I'm sure you will have a relief with that. Okay. Any kind of walls which is having a leakage of water is a reservoir of fungal spores, which is a very strong allergens. Okay. This is the next thing. Now the third thing is the pets. Any houses which are having pets, they sometimes they don't know, they're having patients of kids having allergic rhinitis, and they don't know from where exactly it's coming. And if they're having pets in the house, the pets is a very important, a potent allergen source of allergen. Okay. So don't allow the pets to come inside the house. At least inside your main house where you have all beddings, where you sleep at night. So don't allow your pets to come to your bedrooms or living areas. Try to have your pet house or dog house outside the house, outside the premises of the main house. This is surely going to help you. And any kids or any adults who handle the pets, they must wash their hands regularly as soon as they touch the pets or they feed the pets. And keeping pets away from the main household will surely going to help. Then cockroaches and animal danders are very important. Cockroaches is a very good source of allergy. So if you're having you're in a house, you're having a lot of cockroaches, then try to eliminate them. This is also going to help from preventing you from catching the allergens. Right. These are very small things actually, which patient will think, there's something very common, but applying it's very difficult. Right. And when you apply it, you will surely going to help get the benefit.
Right. Very nicely explained by you, sir. One more question, what is the role of medications in treating nasal allergy?
Yeah, see, undoubtedly avoidance of allergens is very important thing, but we cannot rely completely on them, and whatever kind of precautions we can keep, but we are still going to catch the allergen, because we just cannot do it 100%, you cannot make it a foolproof. So if you catch the allergens and you start having symptoms, then we have a few kind of medications which we give patients for relieving him of those symptoms, may it be sneezing or maybe nasal blockage or may it be itching and all. So the most common anti-allergics we call, patient comes directly to us, कि मैंने levocetrazine ले लिया, I've taken the levocetrazine, I've taken the montelukast, because I've taken the Montelukast. They will say a few names of the drugs. So the first line of drugs, what we call antihistaminics. This is the class of drug which is medically known as antihistaminics. Okay. And these are the first line of drugs which we give to the allergic patients. Why we call it antihistaminic? Because histamine is something which creates all those things in our blood. Okay. Histamine is a mediator of inflammation, and when we come to contact with the allergens, then the triggering of all these symptoms comes due to release of this histamine. So we are giving antihistamine. So it will keep in control. It will keep in control not to react much whenever you come to any contact with allergens. So the most common antihistaminics we use routinely are levocetirizine, loratadine, fexofenadine. I think most of the people who are allergic, they knows these salts name because they're used to taking it regularly. So this levocetirizine is there, then desloratadine, loratadine, fexofenadine, azilastine. These are very common anti-allergics which we use it. These are pretty harmless. They are not. They can be taken for the long time also, for the long duration also, and they are effective in controlling the symptoms for once. We use a salt name is montelukast. Also, this is a very common salt which is given for the allergic rhinitis, which also has a very good effect on the mediators of inflammation or mediators of swelling, which do all kind of the bad effects in our body when it comes to the allergens. And now, second line of drug, when something that is slightly severe or it is a perennial allergic rhinitis, when we need to give the treatment all year round, we cannot just giving for few days. Again, after some time, he'll come to the contact with the allergen. Again, he'll have the symptoms. So we'll need to give a few medicines for a pretty long time. So we need to have some medicines which are very safe also, which can be given for a long time also, and effective also. So second line of drug which we use very commonly are nasal sprays. The patient are not very much used to the sprays. They feel it uncomfortable for using sprays. But nasal sprays, these are corticosteroids or steroidal nasal sprays. When it comes to steroid, patient always goes on back foot, and especially in the COVID time when there was a lot of mucormycosis and there was a lot of being channelized and all because of the bad effects of steroids and all. But these steroid nasal sprays are not at all harmful. They are not absorbed systemically in the body. They act locally in the nasal mucosa. They do not have any kind of bad effects which routine oral steroids or injectable steroids have. So these steroidal sprays, which we know with the name of fluticasone spray or mometazone spray, these sprays can be taken for a pretty long time, maybe months or years also, without any kind of bad effect on the body or side effects in the body, and they are very effective in controlling the allergic rhinitis.